Hey everybody, we are live and I am so pumped because this is my father and this is a very rare experience that I actually get to even talk about himself or anything that he does because his humility is so amazing. And it's just something that I'm excited because I get to see what I grew up with. Um, so before we get started, I just want to say that this whole conversation that we are talking about is surviving quarantine by spreading life. And I think it's important for y'all to see the aspects of things that I have, the life that's been breathed into me. And we talk about spreading life, but it's also, I know the generational effect that I've been blessed to have because of the life that this man and my family, my mother breathed into me. So I'm excited to get started. And just remember, please like, subscribe, and share for this. I'm getting bad at asking for that, but please do that because more people that get to hear the message. And then also, if you have any comments or questions in this, please feel free to put it in the comment section. We'll pull them up. So let's go ahead and get started. I would say introduce yourself, but I'm going to introduce you because I know your humility. So this is my father. This man has been a rock of mine for so many years. And the big key aspects that I will say that he has grown leadership into me. It's not been about perfection. It's been about progression. And in this aspect that he's the one that basically kicked me out of the nest and told me to fly and gave me the confidence and the ability to be able to go on my entrepreneurial journey. He is also a businessman. And not just that he is a businessman, that's running an extremely successful business. And he has invented a lot of the things in the textile and tufting industry. But it's also that he is an amazing leader. And you can see that by talking to his people. And so I'm excited to talk with him today about just life and leadership and continuing during this conversation about surviving quarantine by spreading life. So welcome, Daddy.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear.
So my first question I have for you is I have been blessed to see the ups and downs in our life and the sacrifice and the commitment that you have given to your family, to your work. What is some advice that you would give to others about leading and the sacrifice that comes from it?
Obviously, it needs to be a passion. Everybody's got their own skill sets. Mine happened to be that I was gifted to work with my hands, had a bit of creativity, so and an engineering background. That's my passions. Like most folks, whatever your interests are, you're probably going to be good at it, hopefully exceptional at it. But pursuing those, don't worry about failure. Hey, failure is what is it? The mother of success. You know, you've got to fail to succeed. All you need is a couple of good experiences, and it can turn into something good for you.
And that's something I love, that something that you've taught me that I teach in my classes is that you've told me before that there are 100 different ways that you know how not to make a splice or a mini grill or whatever engineering thing that you've created. But the one that you did create right gave you the life, gave me the life, gave us the opportunity. And I think that's one thing that I think great leaders do is they take risk. I was listening to Tangela Johnson. She was talking a few weeks ago with us about how there's things that we can do every day about going forward, adding value to our life or taking away. And she said, I believe that you get bonus points to your years by taking risk. So what are some things that, I know some risks that you've taken, but what are some of the key risks that you feel like you have taken to get you to where you are today?
Wow. Well, very early on, when this was nothing but a dream, an interest, and I'll back up and say this: the objective of my business has always been to serve others. You I wanted to better the lives of my neighbors, people in our industry, in our community, but not just the community, worldwide. Thankfully, it grew to be a worldwide endeavor. But some of again, your question was?
The risk. What are some of the biggest risks that you think that have allowed you to be where you are?
Just stepping out in faith. The risk is that of whenever I started, I had no safety net. Still don't have no safety net. I mean, you either make it or break it. And very early on, we mortgaged everything we had to get started. The first 6 months of my business life, I didn't take the first penny of income from it. The next 2 years, I took income at $7 an hour was the average that I took out of the thing. But just trying to survive the fears, the anxieties, just getting up every day, putting your feet on the floor and keep going forward.
Mm-hmm. That persistency is something I know, and grit that you've taught into me. And I also say that you also taught me what not to do, because you told me like a lot of Dave Ramsey principles that you have taught me. And I have been blessed to start my business without having to have a mortgage or having to have any of those costs. And so I think now more than ever, it is an easier time per se for people to get up and started, but it's just all about the mindset at the end of it. So I want to talk about some of the biggest risks I know that you've taken, or some of the biggest sacrifices. And it may not sound like a sacrifice to other people, but it is for me, and I know it's for you. And one of the biggest sacrifices is one of your Firebird, which is my baby. And not many people know this story, but I'm going to throw it out there that this man right here learned a lot of how to engineer from the Firebird. Literally, what, $500 you paid?
Yeah, and this was a 1968 Firebird convertible. So yes, I had $500 invested in it in 1981, and it was a bit of a wreck. But I spent 10 years taking it apart, touching every nut and bolt on the thing, and learning the hard lessons of engineering, of manufacturing, of finishing a vehicle, of assembling a vehicle, the internals of a combustion engine. But it just taught me a lot about patience, taking 10 years to put a car together, which initially, you have this dream. You don't expect it to be a 10-year endeavor. You want it to be a year at the most, and things go down the road. It didn't turn into that. So it taught me a lot about patience, and taught me how to be frugal and manage money, and a lot of lessons involved in that car.
And so, but that thing is the sacrifices. You took 10 years to build the car, and then you sold it so that you could provide for your family. And I will tell you, that was and you know this, one of my life goals was to always get you that car back. And it was such an amazing experience. And I think that's too, that talking about something that you taught about me, it taught to me is faith. And we're big on our spiritual faith, but also like that whenever you give into the world, that you eventually you're going to receive. You don't give to receive, but eventually it does give back. And I think one of your give backs is me, and how I get to bless others. And I don't take that lightly. I take that as a badge of honor, that I get to talk to people in essence in how you taught me. Because I know this, like I said, this is a rare opportunity. This man is not getting on this more than I. So I do give so much patience and gratitude and thankfulness for that. But I also want to talk about your leadership style. I remember being in my corporate job that I was at, and I remember having this conversation with a leader there. And I talked to, me, anybody who knows me, I talk about my father and how he does things. And it was the aspect that you led from the heart, and that you cared for people more than you care about the money. You always say that your bank account will reflect how much you care for your people. They told me that couldn't happen in corporate. And I was just, for me, that devastated me because I know it can. And then I read Bob Chapman and how he does it. And I've seen you do it. And I've seen you be a global company having, if anything, it's a very lean operation, but you still are very well in your endeavors. And I attribute that to your leadership. So let's talk about that for a second. With leading, you truly lead from the heart and you lead at a servant level. I'll say one of my favorite things again about you is that you do not have titles really with at your company. You've never had titles. You clean the bathrooms and you don't even have to. So talk about the importance of being a servant leader, especially during this time, no matter if you lead a company of 100,000, whatever it may be, or if you lead people in your household. How can you lead effectively during this time period?
Well, whether it's now or whenever, leading by example, obviously, you people will follow you if they know that you care. Um, Prior to us coming online here, I was out in the plant with the guys, right there with them, beside them. So I want them and all of our people to understand it. I won't ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, and they know that I'm invested in them.
Mm-hmm.
They're more important than anything. My biggest concern is our people, and uh, you spend a lot of time thinking about them,
Mm-hmm.
and not just at work, but away from work,
Mm-hmm.
because you hope that their welfare, that you hope you're meeting their needs, and just that they're appreciated and they understand that they're appreciated. But if you do those things, hey, these people go to the ends of the earth for you.
Mm-hmm.
It just if they know you care, they'll go there with you.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the important.
In it as well.
I think that's the important thing to note for people and understand that it is actions speak louder than words, and your actions truly speak. I could list off 1,000 times growing up seeing this man sacrifice for other people, seeing times where he would pay for people's health care, not just like you're supposed to, like prior to even whenever it was required, or pay for legal fees, or help pay for any way that their family had burdens. But I think it's the thing of the leadership that's so big. One thing that I want to talk about next is growing leaders. You really pushed me, and I'm grateful for that. That you pushed me out of the nest and you identified that I was in a comfort zone. I could have stayed and done some things and just been in my happy place, but I wouldn't have met my potential that I could have. You saw that. So how is it important for people as like, I'm your child, but also in business? How is it important to notify, to let your kids know that they have purpose and passion, and that it's important?
Well, you certainly, I used to say that we're not raising children, we're raising adults. You've heard that me say that. You want to raise them to be the best adult they possibly can. But investing in time in the children, obviously, I'm strong in mathematics and I love history. So spending time with those children, you, Matthew, Zach, invest in that time in studies in that. Whenever you was helping me work on cars, that was a father-daughter time. It was also a time of learning. And I'm learning as much from you then, or I was, as you were from me. Me learning how to be a father, you learning some mechanical skills, and that's what we've done with Matthew and Zach. Certainly encouraging them to always be their best, helping them to understand that hey, you got skills that's your strength, but to understand that you've got weaknesses and to know your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Find people to help you fill those voids and those areas of weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's just um, there's that's how you round out a company, and that's certainly a good way to raise your family.
Yes, I agree. And Christina put on here, we have some amazing dads. So I agree, Christina, we do. So Christina's father also works, which is also,
Christine.
yeah. And we also, I'll throw this up here too. So we got Barbara's on. Welcome. We have Brittany watching as well. Brenda, thank you. Zach and Alyssa. So Zach is my brother, and Alyssa is my sister-in-law. Love you both, and we love you too. Mike, hello. As I always say, you're one of my favorite people. I was actually talking about him today. Yes. And what he said today, or I was talking about him today about whenever you leave people, and that may be something we can talk about real quick. Whenever you leave people in the Southernism, you say, bless their heart, compared to thank you, God, for that blessing. I always say that Mike is one of those thank you, God, for that blessings, but I also say that about you, Dad. And leaving people better than they first came to you as leaders or as just people in general. What are some key things that you think people should know to be able to leave people better?
Hmm. I've heard one of the most selfish things you can do is try to help others because you end up getting more back from it than you do
Yeah.
giving. Um, if you want to take some stress out of your life right now, try to find somebody to help. It's easy for in this time where we're all quarantined to sit and we're alone with our thoughts. And but if we get outside of that box and just find someone to help, you end up helping yourself as much as you help them. But when I say helping them, it may be a kind word. Um, again, there's nothing more valuable than relationships. When we all are gone, people ain't going to remember us for our possessions so much as they are how we treated each other. So
Mm-hmm.
just everybody's got value. I mean, we're all created that way with value and purpose.
Yes. I'm going to pop up a few more. It says, I think one of the most observational traits your father exhibits is patience. And he relates this well with people all around. Let's talk about your desire for patience. And you are one of the most patient men. This is a crux because it can be a curse at the other end because he will wait a year to tell you something. He waits for the perfect timing. And it is one of those like brutal patience that I try to grow, but I still don't have it yet. You're very good at waiting for proper timing, where I'm let's react sometimes. Where do you think that patience came from? Which I know we talked about, like your building of your stuff, but you just have this unique patience.
I guess growing up poor and my family values, things didn't come easy. So if you wanted something, you had to work for it, and it took a while. Took time to achieve goals. So I just remember being taught early on by my father and my mother that uh, patiently work through your challenges and your trials. Um, Even whenever I was 6, 7 year old, and it was nothing more than wanting a wagon or something. Uh, some people can relate to this, picking up bottles for and collecting bottles where you get 5 cents in return for that,
Mm-hmm.
and creating a savings account. And you just slowly, methodically, it takes a while, but saving that income for that, whether it be a wagon uh, or a Corvette, and just patiently, not giving up. Just if you've got goals, don't lose focus of it. Just keep going ahead.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something true that you also taught me is that, like, even in business or just in life, that we have I'm an optimistic, and sometimes you see that I'm an over optimistic at times. And I'll be like, let's go straight up and let's just be, or I guess it'd be that direction. I can't do it right now. But let's just be awesome and it's going to be great. And then I hit a hurdle and it's like, oh crap, it's over with. And I like come to you and you mentor me. So that's a two-part question. Is one, the power of being mentored and finding that as somebody that's a young leader, a young entrepreneur. And then two, knowing that it is not this uphill, happy climb that people might perceive in this, that there are low lows and there's high highs. And how do you adapt to that?
Well, having done it for 25 years, I've adapted to it, and then nothing seems to, it don't shake me like it used to. But yeah, early on, whenever you hit the ground, when you made mistakes, I made some major mistakes early on. Thought it was going to bankrupt me and tear my family apart. But it's just leaning on our faith, but also getting up every day, putting your feet on the floor, forgiving yourself, and going forward. Just never giving up on your passions.
Mm-hmm. And I'm blessed and I'm so grateful that you never did, because again, it gave me the life that I have, which has now been a generational effect, that I now get to be an entrepreneur and get to do the things that I do and get to speak with others. So, I give so much gratitude and grace to you and Mom for being such great role models and leaders. And that's the one thing that I want to talk about, is that in the importance of being a parent now. Your wife or your husband, a spouse first, a parent second. But in that order, making sure but in all of that, you're a leader, and making sure that in the leading process, there's times where you go first and then sometimes you go last. And so knowing your role. So I want to say just a huge gratitude and thank you to you, Dad, for all that you've done for us, your sacrifice, your dedication, your patience, the brutal patience that I got to see, and to actually get to see success lived out. If anybody has any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in. We will give it about a few more minutes and we'll see if there's any comments that come up. But I do want to talk about one thing, talking about patience, or about how things don't hit you as much as they used to. So a few weeks ago, I was just in awe of you because your server got hijacked. And and it's like it didn't phase you. Like for me, I was like, and that's all your files, everything that, like, all your engineering files were
Yeah, 20
basically.
years of effort. Yes, there's a
Yeah.
lot of it. Mm-hmm.
And you took that, like, and I even asked you in the office. I asked you, I was like, Dad, I'm like, I don't understand. For me, this would be like crushing. This would be world ending. This would be. And you told me it doesn't phase you like it used to. It's not that you didn't have a passion for it anymore, but it just didn't hurt you because I know your faith. I know your faith always comes out, and that's what you told me. So talk about that for a minute, on leaning in so that we don't let our environment own us.
Well, speaking of environment, we're all within, we're trying to distance ourselves right now. So, you can find yourself confined. Whenever those files got stolen, hijacked, they were encrypted, ransomed. It was years and years and years of work, many, many man hours that could have potentially been lost. But and I certainly didn't want to start over. But it's just another path you have to go down sometimes. I mean, we're in a dark time right now, facing things we've never faced before, as a culture, as a nation, as a world. But hey, again, we got to get up every day, put our feet on the floor. Don't forget your dreams. Mm-hmm. Just keep hold on to that dream. uh, know that there's other people out there in same struggles you are. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've been through so many ups and downs that it's all level now. There
Yeah.
are highs and lows, but they're not as the peaks and valleys aren't as hard as they used to be. They just don't
Mhm.
just not gonna worry about it anymore.
And that's I'm waiting for the day that I get there one day. Until then, I keep calling you and unload on you. Um, but with that, I just want to say thank you for all that joined. Again, thank you so much, Dad. I love you. And I will let you know this is the rescuing of a father because unfortunately, one of my coaches got sick and that was supposed to do this. So I called him last hour after making sure that some of his people could make sure that the tech was up and that all distractions because
Yeah,
he isn't joking. He is always with his people and they know that they can call him at all hours at all times. So I am grateful for his work too, his work family too, to be able to orchestrate that and make sure that I can have this conversation. So I see a few more questions or comments. Atlanta said, good answers and questions. I can tell where your values come from and that y'all give credit to God. Yes, we do. Because we know in the end, sorry, I have a little bug that's wanting to be on the camera. And then your dad is awesome and such a kind and caring person. Amen to that one. He would do anything for anyone. That is a fact. And I guess the humility is something I didn't get to touch on. I could go on to a million things, but I want to try to keep in this time frame because I know he has a lot that he has to do. Humility, one of the most humble men you will ever meet. Kimberly, I think it's his ability to understand the solution is found in trust. So definitely in faith and love of life and his trust in people. And I think that's one thing that I grab from you too is if anybody gets an email from me, it's be the genius with 10,000 geniuses. The kiss of death is be the genius with 10,000 helpers. You see people as pure geniuses and they all have a value and they all can give back in their certain way. Even whenever I am like, oh, I couldn't handle that. And then for me, it's knowing God is on my side and white hair has helped.
yeah.
Yes, Mike.
We learned it haven't we, Mike? Well,
And then way to
yeah.
go, Anthony. It's what Lori said. So thank you all for joining. I greatly appreciate y'all. I hope this just gives you a little glimpse. He's a toned down version of me, a way toned down version of me because I get really excited and I get giddy. I actually got nervous for this one, Dad. This is the first one I've ever gotten nervous for. And I've done we're in 5 weeks of this. So I hope this did you an honor. I
Well,
hope
thank you, my dear. I certainly appreciate your time, and yeah, hopefully there was some good insight there. Yeah, for it is what it is, and hopefully it was of value.
it was. I'm going to say it was. And I know as other people were saying on here that it was. So as said, great session. Your wifey said that. So I appreciate y'all. Like I said, continue to like, share, and come back again tomorrow. We will continue this series, spreading or surviving quarantine by spreading life. And it is just about making sure that we continue to bring life and spread life into people. And that's the reason why I really wanted to have my father on here today to see the life that was given into me and the impact. It's slow. It didn't happen over one day. It happened over a lifetime. It happened over 30 plus years of just consistently giving from my father, from my mother, from my family, my unit. And it's a blessing. So I appreciate y'all all. And I hope you have an awesome and blessed day.